Hello and welcome to Bunker Bonkers. My name's Andy. Today we're going to be covering the topic of the United Kingdom Warning and Monitoring Organisation, commonly referred to as the UKWMO. The UKWMO was responsible for providing the public in Great Britain, as well as the military and civil authorities, warning of impending attacks and formed a cornerstone of the British civil defence between 1957, when it was formed, and its disbandment in 1992. Let's get into it. The role of the UKWMO was to provide the authorities, the public and the military with a warning of an attack against the United Kingdom. The 5 principal goals of protection were warn the public of any air attack, presumably that includes both nuclear and conventional attacks against the United Kingdom, provide confirmation of a nuclear attack, so they'll obviously provide the warning, but then through the Royal Observer Corps posts they're able to triangulate an attack. The warning of the public of approaching radio fallout, again through the use of meteorological and Royal Observer Corps posts, they can plot where they predict fallout will be and issue attack warning black advisories. They would supply the civilian and military authorities in both the United Kingdom and our neighbouring countries with details of nuclear bursts and scientific assessments. And finally, they do a post-attack meteorological service to assist with the plotting of the attacks. The staffing of the UKWMO was made up of both professional full-time scientists and the volunteers who trained regularly. The headquarters was at Cowley Barracks in Cowley. There was a director and a deputy director, and they were supported by a small administrative staff. There were 5 sectors, each with a sector controller and assistant sector controller. The assistant sector controllers also had responsibility for training, which I'll come on to in a sec. There were 25 UKWMO groups. In the event of war, the senior UKWMO volunteer present would become the group controller, and the role of these sectors, the role of these groups was to assess the nuclear burst and fallout information based on the information provided by the Royal Observer Corps, and there would be a team of 10 UK warning monitoring officers led by a chief warning officer. The interesting thing is where the warning officers were essentially recruited from, and it was heavily into the high school science teachers, university lecturers, scientists in industry, people with a heavy scientific background that could easily be trained up on how to present this information to the civilian authorities and the military as to best run the country. So, what did UKWMO do during wartime? Well, there were 2 main wartime centres for the UKWMO, the primary one based at RAF Booker and a secondary one based at the sector control for Lancashire. These centres were responsible for providing the ill-named 4-minute warning. It is commonly assumed that there wouldn't be 4 minutes, and certainly not for the public. Submarine launched ballistic missiles could have trajectories of as little as 2.5 minutes, and by the time the radar tracked and confirmed that those were to strike the United Kingdom, notice to the public could be under 60 seconds. Training for the UKWMO was done for both a whole-time paid staff and the spare-time volunteer staff. Exercises could be in real time but in blocks, where maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday evenings the group would engage in a training exercise and realistic information would be pre-provided as to where the bombs had gone off and at what time, etc., so on and so forth, so that the whole-time volunteers and the spare-time volunteers, the whole-time paid and the spare-time volunteers would be able to practice what they'd been trained. There was a major civil defence training centre based up in Easingwold near York, not too far away from where I think it's number 28 group, Royal Observer Corps group centre is in Acomb in York. And every 4 or 5 years the RAF would do a no-notice exercise similar to what they call their TAC evals, which is a tactical evaluation, where the UKWMO, either groups or sectors or the whole organisation, would be subject to an exercise to evaluate the performance of the UKWMO as part of the RAF's responsibility of being the administrative function for the UKWMO, even though it wasn't funded by the RAF. During the 1980s, the UKWMO went through a period of modernisation. One of the modernisation aims was to produce better reporting to the UK government. One of the devices that did this was known as the AWDRI, which is the Atomic Weapons Detection, Recognition and Estimation of Yield, AWDRI, and it was designed to be able to take over a lot of the Royal Observer Post staff's riskier roles, because they had to, and I will go through this in another video that I will post shortly, where volunteers would have to go outside of the bunker, fetching information from outside the bunker, bringing it down and reporting that in. This could now be done digitally, but AWDRI was only really rolled out to group and sector control centres, leaving the poor old Royal Observer Corps volunteers in a sticky position of 60 seconds after the last detonation of a nuclear weapon. They would have to pop the hatch and go and change cassettes and get information. The modernisation also included the upgrade of the carrier control points, the WB system. This is a video that I'm going to do again. I'm going to do it separately. It is how the 4-minute warning was distributed from the UKWMO primary centre down through police stations and out to the general public. The 4-minute warning came in the form of the Ballistic Missile Early Warning System, BMUs, issuing an alert to the RAF, where they were co-located with the United Kingdom warning and monitoring organisations, and a 4-minute warning was given, and the attack warning red would be sent out through the carrier control points, but I'm going to go into much more detail on this in a separate video. If you want to see that video, like and share this, and just give me a comment and just say what videos you want me to show, and I will be happy to arrange those for you. In its role as being able to share information on both radioactive fallout and on atomic bursts that had happened over the United Kingdom, there were some rather crude technologies used, and there were some more complex. As I've already mentioned, you had the AWDRI, which uses an electronic system of being able to range, estimate the yield and the direction, thereby pinpointing the location of an atomic explosion. But its predecessor was pinhole camera technology, where there was a 4-sided pinhole camera, and when an atomic burst went off, the bright light would burn on photographic paper on a certain longitude and latitude, thereby giving you the ability to know the height, the yield, and by using triangulation, again, there was an image I'm going to put on the video for you, you would be able to know the triangulation of the bomb and know exactly where the bomb went off. For posts that were in the not too distant range from a nuclear explosion, there was a bomb power indicator, a BPI, another image I'm going to place up at the top here for you of a BPI, and literally it just measured the overpressure, the maximum overpressure of an explosion, and the blast wave that came out from that weapon's blast. The volunteers were all assigned personal dosimeters, because a lot of the Royal Observer Corps volunteers had to leave their little Royal Observer Corps posts and had to bring down the information from the pinhole camera, and they would also be obtaining radiac readings, the radioactivity readings. So it's essential that they monitored their dose and made sure that they had not that the doses were shared between different members of the team. The 1950s Radiac Survey Meter number 2, which was designed to calculate the overall radioactivity in an area. Again, this was designed to be able to issue attack warning black to warn the public of a impending fallout, or indeed if there was active fallout in the area. There were fixed survey meters that were applied in 1958 to the bunkers. I don't know which bunkers they were put into, whether it was all of them or just a few. These were again designed to measure the radioactivity in the vicinity of a bunker. And then you had a portable dose rate meter, which I believe was brought in the 1980s. My understanding is they were both portable and desk-mounted versions of this. So the desk-mounted ones would be inside the little posts and bunkers, and you could obviously take the portable one outside to get a dosimeter. These readings would all be fed back into group and sector, who would then disseminate these in the attack warning blacks to warn the public, the military and the civilian authorities of where were the danger zones in radiation so that hotspots could be avoided. Thank you for watching. Please join us again soon. Please, please, please like and subscribe to our channel. We want to share this information with you. Add a comment, let me know what you want to hear about. If it's got to do with the Cold War, if it's got to do with World War II, especially in the United Kingdom, let me know. I'd love to create content for you. Thank you again. Have a fabulous evening.